So I guess we can now just start across. So I'll just give you a first quick understanding and an introduction over the aspect that we'll be discussing. So as you guys already know, we're going to be talking across on Harvard Students Agency. The body itself was established back in 1957. It is one of the world's largest student-run businesses in the world. It provides Harvard students with practical experiences within entrepreneurship, business management, and offering them opportunities to really lead in and operate in real businesses with over 12 agencies. HSA spans industries as publishing, marketing, tutoring, consultancy, and there are all various other factors that we will be today looking across on. So I would leave the much more interesting and detailed part of HSA to a speaker who has just joined us for giving us an understanding over HSA. Colin Blake. He's a rising sophomore at Harvard, concentrating in economics and statistics, with a secondary in government as a member of the Lowell House. He hails from Medfield, Massachusetts. He has attended Catholic Memorial High School, where he was three-sport varsity athlete. On campus, he is involved at Harvard Student Agencies as the managing director of the Academies by Harvard Student Agencies. It's a member of Harvard Financial Analyst Club and an outside center for the Harvard rugby team as well. Outside of school, he is deeply involved in a Short for Life. It's a cancer research organization, having spent 6 years volunteering with the organization, and is currently the head for baseball and softball operation. The event raised more than $100,000 for cancer research last year, and the entire organization has more than $1 million. Personally, Colin loves sports, particularly baseball, rugby, football, running, hockey, and basketball. His favorite places in the world are, right between, right field beaches at Fen Park and Cape Cod, and he loves listening to country music. So, that's Colin. He would be running you through across when it comes to the aspects with HSA directly. I am Faraz. I represent with Let's Unbound, working for the last decade plus in consultancy or financial and also automotive consultancy. My professional journey started across with Jaguar Land Rover, and I then moved across to the financial industry, having worked with Citibank and Standard Charter. I also do work across with Reliance General in terms of their corporate broking channel, and at the same time, I'm a consultant when it comes to admissions abroad, focused with admissions in countries as USA, UK, Singapore, and all over Europe. So that's more about the speakers today. I'll just quickly just move across to giving you a little bit of an understanding over Let's Unbound. Let's Unbound is an education consultancy organization. We really started across as a skill-based organization, very specifically focused on STEM, life skills, and college readiness program is then what we had then developed. While we have been working with students from more than 25 countries, we have worked with kids with more than 5,000 kids, giving more than 125,000 hours of sessions. We are present in more than 25 countries, and we have developed a complete program when it comes to admissions counseling, consultancy, preparation of every aspect when it comes to admissions abroad, right from understanding a student's strength from to the admission preparation, delivery of the admission itself, and eventually the conclusion that happens on the visa stage process. So that's more across with the organization Let's Unbound. The students that we have worked with have been admitted in some of the most prestigious institutes that you can see as a listing there. Institutes as Dartmouth, which is also an Ivy League institute, along with Northwestern University. You've got Northeastern University as well. A lot of students of ours have gone across to various of the UC campuses spread right across the nine of them. And we've had admissions in Rice, we've had admissions in UTs. These are all the top institutes when you look across as America as an education destination. We have also have had a very global team which has got a huge track record, and overall, as we say, that the experience strength that we as an organization represent could be really depicted in 100 plus. So overall, the approach that we follow, we'll just run you very quickly through on aspects as the input itself, where the input, as I was just while working with students is understanding their interests, understanding their personalities, and this is the place we really come in across and try to broaden that prospect. Our focus is not always on trying to judge across a career, and I've always seen in majority of my sessions and the sessions of my colleagues that largely what parents do, they really focus just on and overall themselves. As you know, as you could see on the data, that only 93% of parents have standing over give or take 7 career options. While the real way of how we believe in helping students doing the right career counseling is largely focusing on this stage, the school stage of personality, traits, interests, and your expertise, and the various passions that a student has, and eventually seeing how they convert across into specific career goals. We help with parents to and students to understand about these university applications. We'll help you go through every different aspect about the application itself, and at the end, the outcomes that we have are really pretty much can be looked across in these terms, that the outcomes then comes at this point of your admission preparation, where we will then give you the support in university selection, your essay writing, the supplementary essays, the personal statements, the letters of recommendation. All of that becomes the eventual output along with the admission that a student would typically gain while working across with us, while we always represent 100% success rate with the students that we have worked. Giving one example at the bottom, a complete roadmap of a student who joined us across from grade 10, worked on various aspects in terms of profile creation, admission profile creation, overall profile, and then the final into a reputed college. This is an overall, now let's say the same explanation that I've just given you, where we start from profile assessment to shortlisting of colleges, application, decision support, and then, eventually concluding it with overall other services as your visa and financial documentation kind of services that we do give. The way that we do normally work at this level is that we would be giving you counseling in terms of you'll have a lead consultant who helps you in various different aspects of this admissions, and then you have a lead strategist who will be giving you the last in the application year, when you'd be going through the application itself, how to best prepare for it. And you would have various academic mentors, test preparators, people that will be helping you in various skills. Let's suppose you want to pick up any skill as programming, coding, all of that kind of work is then provided across with us. This is just one quick slide that you could just use as of now, but the slide will be coming back again to you. It is just to register for the HSA services. Just do remember the programs. Just do remember, we'll just be now shortly starting across with the explanation of the HSA programs. Meanwhile, this is just that first opportunity you could use to register. Just keep this QR scanner clicked. And now I'll just be inviting Colin. You can just come online as of now, and I'll be handing over the presentation to you. Right, so I think Colin is with us. You're on mute. Colin, you're on mute.
Thank you. I wasn't allowed to unmute on my own. So hello, everybody. Thank you for taking your Saturday night evening with us. My name's Colin. Thank you for the introduction earlier. I am the managing director of the academies. So a little just about HSA and kind of the academies in general. I'll start with HSA. So like said, we were founded in 1957. We were the largest student-run business in the world for a long time. And then this guy named Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook. And then when Facebook was kind of growing and growing and growing, and Mark was still kind of a student at Harvard, HSA actually went down to the second biggest student-run corporation in the world. And then when Mark dropped out, we went back to kind of number one, and we've kind of held that claim since then. HSA as a whole is a 501c3, which is kind of American legal terminology for being a nonprofit. So all of kind of the money that HSA makes goes back into the form of student wages or financial aid initiatives. We donate around $2 million to the college every year for the financial aid initiatives. It's really kind of great being a part of an organization that has such a mission-driven focused, and every cent that we make goes back into kind of ensuring that students and education at Harvard is reality for anybody who's admitted. I'll go a little bit further into kind of more of our programs right now, as well as the academies. So the academies have kind of started since 2015. Since then, we'll get to kind of the numbers and whatnot later, but we've worked with over 10,000 students. We have kind of 10 programs across 5 disciplines, and you'll get to hear a little bit more about those later. But I'm super excited for you all to kind of learn a little bit more about what the academies mean, how we can help kind of your son, daughter, your student, or even yourself if you're a dedicated student on this call right now. How we can help you guys out, learn a little bit more about what you're looking for in life and how to kind of best represent that as it relates to kind of a college admission profile. But we have a video first that I would like you guys all to watch. Next slide.
It's this one here, which we start by. Because
yeah, next slide.
okay, just 1 second.
Oh, the video is not coming up.
Yeah, I guess this is
There
the
we
one.
go.
Harvard is just such an amazing experience. Just the vibe of the college campus itself. I have to walk through Harvard Yard every morning to get here.
Coming to Harvard has definitely been one of the most amazing experiences in my life. This community is so diverse and welcoming, and it's just been an amazing experience being here.
We have the resources of the beautiful campus, all of these top-notch speakers and materials that have come in, and you just know that you're getting the best.
I grew personally, and I think we all did, and we can see that from the end of the week. It's really good.
Harvard is just a
Yeah, I guess this is fine, Colin. Sure. You're not. Vinod, can you just please unmute him again?
There we go. Thank you very much. Sorry, not allowed to unmute, I guess. So that video, I hope you guys kind of learned a little bit more about what kind of a summer academy program looks like. We also have virtual options as well that I'll be talking a little bit more about that we're going to be doing in conjunction with Let's Unbound. But the whole purpose of kind of the academies and what it means to be a student at the academies is really discovering what you want to be, right? So many of our students come to campus, come to an academy, maybe thinking that they do want to be pre-med, or maybe thinking that they're going to be an entrepreneur in the future. And for just as many student who comes to an academy and realizes that, yes, this is absolutely what I want to do, there's just as many who walk away saying, wait, this is maybe not exactly what I thought I could see myself doing. So our programs really provide a unique opportunity for people to not only understand what makes them click, but also understand what they could potentially see themselves doing and thus reflect that in a profile as to kind of create a more holistic version of what a student is. But at the end of the day, the academies are really all just about discovering your purpose, what you are going to be in life, what you could potentially see yourself studying, right? So many of our students, like I mentioned, would come to an academy and, use that experience to kind of further solidify their kind of story throughout their program or something of the sort. So it's really a fantastic resource and something that I'm very kind of honored to be a part of, and making sure that so many students kind of, have the opportunity to realize if it's something that they want to do going forward.
Right. You want me to move on to the next slide?
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit. I'm going to try to not to brag too much, although it'd be very easy to. I'm going to try to stay a little bit humble here about why the academies are really fantastic. To just start out with kind of Harvard students and faculty, each of our programs is taught by Harvard students. So no matter how big a class size is, you're going to have a 10-to-1 student to teacher ratio. Our kind of instructor roles are some of the most competitive on campus. Last year, we had over 200 students apply to be an instructor, and we only accepted around 28 of them, which lends itself to about a 14% acceptance rate. We're very lucky to kind of be in a position where we can accept literally the best students that Harvard has to offer and bring them through a rigorous training program to bring them up to the ideal standard of what an academy's instructor should be. Most of our student instructors, who are all Harvard students, do end up kind of going, for example, if you're teaching pre-law, I would say over 80% of our pre-law instructors in the past few years have gone on to law school post-grad. So these are students who really understand, really love the material that they're working with. And as we as a team are kind of looking for who are going to be our instructors this summer, it's really what we look for. Are people passionate? Are people engaged? Are people really kind of looking forward every day to allowing other students to learn something that they love? And we're very fortunate to kind of have a team of instructors that are just absolutely top notch in that regard. As it relates to kind of Harvard faculty and other kind of pre-professional lectures, is each of our programs on campus is visited by an industry professional, right? So that could mean kind of a Harvard professor, that could mean kind of a Harvard graduate student who comes in, or, you know, we've had the CEO of Gillette North America's marketing come in. There's fantastic people who take their time out of their day to speak to an academy's class is something that we're really grateful for, and they kind of lend a little bit of knowledge. So for example, if you're going to one of our pre-med classes, it's very likely that you're going to be listening to someone who works at Mass General Hospital, which is one of the best hospitals in the world. Someone who's done their residency through Harvard Medical School. It's very kind of unique to kind of hear those perspectives. As it relates to kind of pre-professional experience, so many of our students have really never been essentially just welcomed into the world of what a pre-professional lifestyle looks like, right? So students who have an idea of what they want to do, they've never actually gone through the motions and actually done it themselves. It's easy to say that you want to be a doctor. It's not easy to go through an academy's program and, you know, get your certificate by passing after you've done all the necessary requirements, right? So we kind of provide students a little bit of opportunity and experience to make sure that something that they're loving, actually they've, you know, kind of had tangible professional experience to speak about. And kind of a little bit of our curriculum, I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but it's all modeled on Harvard exploratory courses, right? So all of our courses are essentially taken from, you know, a lot of the course curriculum is taken from kind of our base level courses. It's what we know best, it's what we've studied best, and, you know, if it's taught at Harvard, it's pretty good at the end of the day. So a lot of our course materials, for example, I'll speak about our business entrepreneurship program right now and our management and strategy business academy, is most, if not all of our case studies are updated within the last year by Harvard Business School professors, right? Students are going to come to campus and they're going to learn how to read through a case on what a company should and shouldn't do. They're going to think like a consultant. And these are kind of courses that for our business and entrepreneurship classes actually model on Harvard Business School exploratory courses. But it just is kind of a fantastic experience for these students to kind of grapple with coursework that students at the school are really dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and kind of learning, like, what does it mean to be like a college student studying something like this? And by extension, what does it mean to be a professional actually going and doing day-to-day work within the field?
Right, I'll just move on, Colin, to the slide. Sure.
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about this earlier with our instructors, but I'll kind of go a little bit deeper into this. Like I said earlier, we last year had over 200 applicants of Harvard students to be an academy's instructor, and we accepted only 28 of them, which is kind of really a fantastic experience, fantastic place to be in as the academy's team, where we can be super selective as to what types of instructors we're looking to join. We turned away some of kind of the best on paper instructors in favor of instructors who may not be as good on paper, but are really kind of people that we would want to work alongside. We know that students would be excited every day coming to learn from them. Kind of a really fantastic place that we're able to kind of be at is to be very selective with how our instructors are going to be selected. A lot of them have real world experience. So for example, many of our pre-med instructors are going to be doing lab reports at the end of the day with Harvard faculty. And I mentioned a little bit earlier with kind of the faculty lecture that students get from industry professionals or Harvard Business School alumni or something of the sort. But our instructors are really kind of the lifeblood of our program, and we're so grateful for them. And without them, we really wouldn't be able to do what we do, and they do what they do kind of the best in the world. And this is just kind of some biographies of some of our instructors. I'm not going to bore you by reading out all of them, but these are kind of just some of their biographies. They're very impressive at the end of the day. I kind of get, when I'm reading through kind of our instructors' biographies, I get, kind of shell-shocked in a sense by how accomplished some of them are. I'll kind of leave you a little bit of time right now to read these by yourself. But some of these are absolutely fantastic. And Andrew, Elvira, Rosida, and Allura are some of our best instructors, and we're very grateful that they continue to share that experience of working with students year after year. They're fantastic mentors. Every day they're like, oh, another former student's reaching out for some help on a college essay or something of the sort, and they're always fantastic and very able to help out in that sense. So it's great to kind of hear some of our instructors and some of the experiences that they had. Elvira, if I'm not mistaken, just actually got accepted into Harvard Medical School for her residency, which is fantastic. So I want to kind of give a shout out to Elvira for that. She's been absolutely fantastic for us, but I'll kind of keep moving on. Yeah, so I was always taught that self-praise is no praise. With that being said, I do think that the academies are one of the best pre-professional programs in the world. We've, like I said, taught over 10,000 students, and 1,000 of those being international students who've come to Harvard's campus in the past 10 years. We really kind of, having such an international focus has really kind of increased our diversity at our programs. I think that kind of one of the best things about being at school where I am is I can sit down at the lunch table and speak to someone who had a completely different life experience growing up from a completely different continent, and kind of learning a little bit more about what their life was like, and kind of what their experiences have been is something that I really enjoy the most about being where I am. And I think our academies programs, through our kind of selection process, really does a great job at ensuring that so many students are able to kind of experience exactly what we feel in our dining hall when they're learning, right? So we've taught over 10,000 students. I mentioned earlier that we have a 10-to-1 student to instructor ratio. What that means is, especially with our pre-med classes, they can get quite large with upwards of 70 or 80 students. With that being said, there's always going to be one instructor for you and 9 other kids. So we try to make sure that everybody still has the opportunity for that personal connection with students. And like I said, international students are really the lifeblood of our program. They're fantastic. And, it's kind of crazy in a little bit when I'm, every morning in the summer and I'm speaking with some of the students and they're like, yeah, I traveled from, a 22-hour plane ride. And I'm like, holy crap, that's a long way. But students really love kind of, it's as much of a trip for them as anything. But, the educational aspect of it is first and foremost. But international students are really the lifeblood of our program, and we're very grateful to kind of offer initiatives to make sure that that's kind of a reality for international students. Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit more about our curriculum. I briefly touched on this, but the whole goal is to transcend traditional classroom topics. You want to have hands-on interactive experiences and then guest lectures from top professionals. So what does this mean? There's a lot of activities. That's a lot of activities-based curriculum. And most of the curriculum itself involves hand-on interactive experience, right? You're going to be grappling with the material. You're going to be speaking with other members of your group, and you're going to be kind of coming together for a solution of yourself. It is really kind of, in my experience, just like a lot of the classes I have here, where I have to really kind of speak with other people and learn their perspective and then incorporate their perspective into getting an accurate reflection of what the actual goal of an assignment would be. So I think that our curriculum does a great job at kind of guiding students along the way, but not guiding them all the way where they can do it by themselves. there's really kind of the goal of ensuring that there's collaboration to understand every single aspect, which is kind of a unique impact of how our curriculum is kind of developed in that sense. And I mentioned the guest lectures already. I'm not going to beat a dead horse in that regard. But as it kind of relates to our curriculum, so much of it is kind of enforced by these guest professionals who come in and speak fantastic words about, what their experience was like going through the, a process that so many of our students will envision themselves in one day. Yeah, so now I'll just dive a little bit into each of kind of our programs. I'll talk a little bit about business. I've already mentioned this a little bit earlier, but management and strategy kind of takes a little bit more of a corporate focused side of it. How profit and loss works, learning how to analyze business trends, business data, market segmentation, all these things that are really kind of essential to be a C-suite executive. This is kind of our academy. If you want to, be a CEO, this is the academy for you. Whereas our entrepreneurship, it really kind of starts on a ground up level. How does it mean to, identify a need in a market, right? Fundamentals of launching a business are very important and something that most startups don't really even understand. I know many students, many of my friends at school who have gone on to work at startups, and they're just dumbfounded at the lack of really organizational understanding by some of these companies who are getting billions of dollars of funding. Kind of if you want to know how to make a startup and make something for your own, our Entrepreneurship Academy is really for you. Our business academies, like I mentioned, they're both modeled on kind of Harvard Business School introductory courses, where you're going to be reading Harvard Business School cases, and you're going to kind of be getting that experience from instructors who, will be getting their MBAs one day. And our coding academies, we have two. We have our Python and web development. So our Python, essentially web design, is you're going to learn soup to nuts how to code in Python, how to code a website in 1 week. It's essentially the best bang for your buck to say that, oh yeah, I know how to code at the end of the day. And personally, I think I should take this class myself because I've not been doing too hot in my coding assignments at school here. But Python is really fantastic, and it kind of, the instructors that we have are very kind of fantastic in walking through all kind of the coding intricacies. And our web development course is pretty much the same, but it kind of has more of a graphic design focus as to how to really troubleshoot issues and kind of create a website at the end of the day. And our pre-med, this is really our most popular academies offering, where you're going to kind of learn a lot of skills from guest speakers, students, and kind of develop a deep understanding of what it's like to study medicine. So many students kind of, have been told their entire life that, oh, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to, solve this disease, but they don't actually know really what goes into being a doctor. And I think our pre-med courses do a fantastic job at kind of soft launching that to so many of our students and ensuring that they really make an informed decision as to if it's something that they really want to be. So our biology and chemistry academy learns a little bit more about kind of genetics, immunology, CRISPR, organic chemistry. They're going to kind of learn a lot more about how different bodily systems interact with each other, what it means to kind of go through different diseases and whatnot. Whereas our anatomy and physiology academy kind of explores systems of the body. There's a big case study analysis that is kind of a famous one at Harvard Medical School that we utilize. And it's kind of a SOAP analysis where essentially you're given a whole bunch of instructions about a patient and you have to kind of make a diagnosis by yourself with your group members. So that's really kind of, in my opinion, where the collaborative nature of our academies really shines, through our anatomy and physiology case study method, where students really kind of work together, and it's an entire class going back and forth as to, what makes the most sense, what is this patient actually should be prescribed with. You're going to walk out of these academies and it's going to be pretty often that your friends are going to ask you, hey, what's wrong with me today? They're not going to Google it. They're going to ask you because you're going to know most, if not all, different things that you need to know about how to diagnose different problems, and essentially kind of be there for a student who's kind of on the front lines of an emergency medical situation. Yeah, so our government academies, we have kind of our pre-law focus and our international politics focus. So our pre-law focus, it has a little bit of a US bias, I'll be honest with you all. But if any of you guys are interested in learning about kind of the intricacies of the US government, this is kind of the course for you. So our pre-law system really kind of starts at the bare bones. It starts at kind of our state level court system, goes up to, or our local level court system, goes up to our state court system, and then it goes up to our federal court system. So you learn all throughout those systems how they interact with each other, why the Supreme Court is allowed to supersede kind of local and state courts, where the Supreme Court does not have as much power as the local and state courts. You're going to read different court cases themselves. You actually go through the transcripts, which are too long, if I'm going to be honest with you, but you'll go through the transcripts of what a court case actually looks like. You know, being a lawyer isn't what suits us. You know, being a lawyer is a lot more kind of nitty gritty, kind of learning a lot more. For example, you're going to learn a little bit more about kind of like a case system. You're going to hear a lot more about what it means to actually, you know, be in a small claims court, which is over kind of 60% of the cases in the United States. If any of you guys have watched Good Will Hunting, which is my favorite movie. In Good Will Hunting, when Will Hunting, played by Matt Damon, is talking to the judge and he's quoting laws from, you know, the 1800s or something like that, that's a small claims case, right? And small claims court is kind of interesting in the sense where you're allowed to represent yourself, and more often than not, people do. So sorry, that was a tangent on pre-law, but I'll kind of go a little bit more into our international politics, where our students learned kind of a lot more about how different governments intersect with each other, how you know, political campaigns, how they go, how laws are written and passed in Congress. Students will kind of really have an attempt at writing public policy while also understanding what really the international side of this is. How do countries negotiate with each other for different trade deals? For example, kind of just something that's topical is kind of the tariff law that's been going around and tossed around the United States between the North American Federal Trade Association. So kind of how different tariffs and stuff like that work. It's kind of a big discussion, but international politics is really going to kind of, you know, if you see yourself being kind of a diplomat or being, you know, a representative in you know, your country, then, you know, international politics is really the course for you. Whereas if you have kind of grown up and dreaming of being a lawyer, pre-law is the place for you. And then finance, which is our brand new offering this year. We've seen a lot of success so far, and our curriculum has already been fantastic. We're getting kind of, you know, reviews from different instructors, but kind of a little bit about what our future investors and our introduction to finance courses are going to be like. So at least here in the States, everybody is like, oh, I want to be an investment banker, I want to work in finance, and nobody has a dang clue as to what that actually means. So our introduction to finance is essentially meant to provide a lot of strong foundations as to what that world is actually like. Talking different, you know, subjects such as corporate finance, risk management, how to divulge, you know, debt versus equity, how to raise funds, Series A, Series B, a lot of introduction into what the world of finance actually is like. What is a student who says that they're going to work in finance actually going to study, and what is their job actually going to be like? This I'm very excited for, kind of our pioneering year with this. I'm very excited to kind of present this to so many students. It will have a little bit of an American focus. With that being said, we are going to kind of bring up different international aspects, knowing that's, you know, 10% of our students are international. We want to make sure that those students are kind of represented as well in the course. And then our future investors, it kind of takes a domestic approach as well. However, the decisions that students make at 18, 19, 20 have over a 30x return on investment by the time that they're ready to retire. And more often than not, so many of the students who go through kind of the investing landscape are the students who are the least aware of what the rights and wrongs are, right? And while this, you know, isn't exactly financial advice, legally, it is kind of our best practices as to what a future investor should be like. How should you navigate the market as yourself? What should you really understand about portfolio risk and how to analyze market trends? If you want to, you know, call yourself an investor, this is the place for you. Where if you want to say that you worked in finance, our Introduction to Finance Academy is for you. But, you know, I can go on and on about these. It's kind of a subject that I am very much interested in at the end of the day, and it's something that I want to do, and it's something that, you know, I hope many students this upcoming summer are going to be able to kind of experience in that way. next slide.
Supposed to be a video or something, and just next slide.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a video, but I guess it didn't come up. So let's just keep going. Yeah, so just any questions now. There'll be time for questions later. And I think we'll actually save our questions for later. But that's all for me about the academies. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. But I know Let's Unbound has a few more things to talk about on their end.
Right. And as you know, as Colin has just said, that we will be taking the questions right at the end again. If I'll just give a couple of seconds, if there's anything very directly related to HSA, please do post it now. We might just want to take up those questions. Otherwise, we will move on to the next section. Could you please post a link that points to the fee structure? We will circle around with everyone with the fee structure. There's a registration link that we'll be sharing across. So I think that will help out. I think there are no questions as of now, Colin. We'll just move on across to the next section and we will circle around to this part again. So in terms of resources, this is now just quickly trying to now close across with the aspect with Let's Unbound as well. During the start of the presentation, we had covered a little bit in detail. We didn't want to go into too much of detail in terms of preparation for admissions abroad, because the real conversation was more around how does HSA work and what are the programs that HSA has, which Colin had taken in extreme great detail. But just as a quick revise, what Let's Unbound do is we help students create the right kind of profiles, the right kind of applications that are required for admissions abroad. For example, for an institute like Harvard, what are the activities that one needs to show across on the Common App? How do you write out the best perfect personal statement? The overall years of work that is also required in terms of really carving out those right kind of activities for the activity list and creating the relationships for the letters of recommendation. So we help students all over this 3 to 4 years of journey towards admissions and close out the work with helping the student put in the applications, make the right choice, and conclude with visa. Now, overall, while working with us, students, even without, let's say, enrolling with us, you do have this opportunity to really get access to our newsletters. We call them our College Crest newsletters. We constantly speak or give out a lot of information on admissions abroad in terms how do you make a college list, which are the colleges that you need to apply for, which are the best subjects that you need to select, the best APs that are out there to be selected, understanding the SAT versus ACT question, various different topics within admissions is the whole target of these newsletters that we constantly do publish. You could also just take down the quick scans you could see on your screen for your College Crest podcast. We have a lot of podcasts that we keep on running on admissions. We have interviews with students that have gone to various top universities in USA, top Ivy League colleges as Dartmouth as well. And on the other side, this is a QR code that you could see for our WhatsApp group, in which we again are using that platform to give out as much as information possible when it comes across to admissions abroad. Now, just to close out on our questions, we're just now allowing the questions to start across. And now please use this slide, this QR code, in which you could register for HSA, and we will shortly be giving you all across the pricing and every other information that you would need to increase. Meanwhile, I'm just giving the last couple of minutes. I'm just opening the chat section. If there are any questions, you could immediately have it posted here and we would be able to answer it. I think the question that Colin we're getting, they're largely around admissions. So I'm not sure if you want to be giving any ideas on that. I think I would rather take them. If you want to add something to it, Colin, I mean that you'd be more than welcome. You're someone.
Yeah, I'm not really going to speak on, how I got into Harvard or something. That's not really the goal of this.
Right. So I mean, I think that's even true, Colin. So I think the thing that I will give you as a counselor, since this question has been really just propped up, student athletes applying to America really firstly need to look at NCAA Division 1, 2, 3 colleges. There are 3 divisions. All divisions have different requirements. in terms of the minimum SAT score, the amount of years that you need to have different subjects at. And just to give you a quick understanding, because this information should be really given on one-to-one basis. But on just a quick understanding, there are three divisions. Three divisions are not in terms of, let's say, quality between one, two, or three. It's more connected to the funding that every school has taken in their specific divisions themselves. So just have a look at NCAA Division 1, 2, 3. That would give you quite good amount of information. Just for this webinar, requesting everyone, if you would just have any questions that are directly related to HSA, we would like to take them up now, not in terms of admissions. I mean, I would rather than say, Colin, that you were crystal clear with your explanation of the program, I would assume. So with no further questions coming through, it was really nice that all of you guys did join. I hope you enjoyed the situation. I hope you enjoyed the information that has been passed across to you. And now we'll be just concluding for the day. Thank you. We're stopping the share. And anyone who wants to continue and just register with us, please just use the QR code that you can currently see on your screen to register for the HSA programs. Thank you. Just switching off the share. Thank you, Colin.